Hi everybody, Peggy here. Welcome back to yet another video. Today I'm going to give you a bit of a tour of sewing machines in general. Obviously I've only got a few. I do happen to have 4 machines that I use or have used in the past. So I'm going to give you a bit of a basic rundown on what to expect from your machine. It's not as difficult as it sounds. Machines have different features. Some features are almost identical across machines. Others have little perks and bells and whistles. So I'm going to go over it with you in order of I've got the big machine over in the corner. I'm not going to worry about that one today because that one is, it's a nice machine, but most people don't, even me, most people don't feel comfortable using those the bigger, more expensive machines until they've got a little bit of experience. And this video is going to be for the beginners in the room, so we'll go with that. Now, all 3 of these machines are machines that I've used. As a matter of fact, that little teeny tiny Singer in the middle, if I can zoom in without breaking anything, that little guy in the back there, that one I ran my Etsy shop for the first almost 2 years on that little machine that cost me on sale about $100 at Walmart. So you do not need to have a big, giant, fancy, expensive machine to be successful as sewing, especially if you're just sewing for your own purposes. Anyway, we're going to get started. First thing I'll point out is, even though it seems obvious to some, hopefully it'll seem obvious to everybody by the time we're done, is the foot pedals. You can see them just on the counter, on the table here. There's one here, there's one here, there's one there. I just put them up so you could get a look. They kind of are a little bit different. A foot pedal is a foot pedal is a foot pedal. Think of it like the gas pedal of a car. Newer machines, you can control your sewing speed with the foot pedal. Each machine has a maximum that it won't go above. So you're not going to be ending up going so fast or so slow that you can't sew. So even if you have a machine that's relatively fast, you don't have to go full speed all the time whenever you use it. That's just the first piece of information that some people may not be aware of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out each machine and give you a brief idea of what the machine is like. We'll start with the, we'll go big and work our way to small. So I will try to remember to put in timestamps. I can probably get my wife Lisa to help me with that. That way, if you're interested in a particular machine, or if you want to rewind and review a particular machine, then you can just go straight to it. You would find the timestamps in the comments below. So I think you have to click read more or something just below where the first little comments start. Anyway, so we're going to get right to it. I'm going to take the first 2 machines off the table for now, get everything set up, and we're going to start with the Singer Quantum Stylist 9960. I'll show you how to thread it. I'll show you a few basics about what it does and doesn't do. We're not going to get into a full manual here today, by the way. This is just basic. How do you get your thread on? How do you get started? How do you just the basics? We're going to start with the basics. I will be right back once I have that machine set up. Okay, everybody, so this is the Singer Quantum Stylist 9960. Now I'm going to hopefully do this smoothly enough and not give you guys any vertigo here. Now this machine, when you look up here, and you will see this on the top here, it's all going to, if you do decide that you want to start with a good machine, this is a little chart that shows you all of the stitches you can do. By the time you mix and match, combine this has about 600 fancy stitches. I mean, the number of stitches that it has is really irrelevant. Like, they've got 3 different alphabets, which I don't tend to use. They've got plenty of stitches that I just don't like. But by the time you get through with a machine like this, you're going to find some stuff that you're going to really enjoy. So that's the first thing. I'm probably doing this out of order because that's just how I do it. Now, in the top of this machine, I'll have to readjust the camera in a second. So we're just going to turn this guy on. This machine has 2 cords off the end. This matters for this machine. We're going to come over here a little bit and hopefully not give you guys too much vertigo. It's got 2 cords here. One is the power cord. Whoops, my camera doesn't like me. One is the power cord. One is the cord that goes to the foot pedal. That matters on this machine because this machine can be operated with or without the foot pedal intact. So we are going to come around the side here. I am set up in the most awkward of ways, so let's just see if I can do this without making a big mess. So we're going to turn this guy on. First thing you'll notice is they make a little bit of noise. Nothing bad is happening. Nothing is going on. This machine, really simple to set up this machine automatically starts on the number 1 straight stitch. And these are all your selectors. This takes you back to the beginning. I hope this is showing up well for you. where you can select your width and your thing. So this is all push button electronic. The manuals for these machines are pretty easy to work with. It will tell you exactly what to press, where to press it, to get the stitches that you want. Down here, these are presets for some of the most popular stitches. So if I am messing around and doing things, and then I want to go back to a regular, this regular straight stitch, I would just press that button. Or if I want to zigzag, I'll press that button, go back to that button. So these electronic machines have a lot of push button functionality. Every stitch up here, every stitch that's shown up here, this is just a handy dandy chart. It's also in the manual. Every stitch up here has the corresponding number matched with it. So you just use the controls here. And again, I'm not going to explain the details. You just use your controls, find the stitch that you want, do whatever you want to do with that stitch. And this is if fancy stitching is something that you are interested in doing. If your main reason for buying a machine is because you want to do the fancy top stitching and design features, lettering. This has 3 different alphabets in it that you just select your letters. So if that is something that you really, really, really want a machine for, they're more pricey to get a machine that does that, but they're pretty simple and pretty easy to work with. They're not difficult. So the machine itself, now this is going to be interesting. I'm probably going to have to come back and I will do my best. I will do my best to get a good view here, and maybe I will get maybe at the end I will do a little what are those pan overs where I can show you the whole machine. So your thread goes on the top, right there. That's not a problem. Over here, I'm going to have to adjust my camera in a second, because what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to get a bobbin ready, and then I'm going to thread the machine. Those are the 2 basic things that you need to know first. So I'm actually not going to do that on this machine. This machine is, you'll probably see more of it as I do more videos, and I'll be able to go over stuff. I'm going to show you how to do it on the other 2 machines, because it's a lot simpler and it's going to be a lot easier to see what I'm doing. So machine itself is really simple. One of the features that a lot of machines have now, as a matter of fact, this machine, I forget what this machine was. I know I got this machine on sale, but they are a little pricey. They are upwards of $600. One thing that this machine has, though, that I really, really like, and that is if you unplug. Remember I showed you that the foot pedal and the power cord were 2 separate plugs? This is why. Where's my button? Right there. I don't know if you can see it. You should be able to see it right there. Puts the foot down, puts the foot back up. Watch the foot. Okay, watch that light. It's now green. So 2 things just happened. This machine, if you have mobility or other issues, this machine can be operated without the need for a foot pedal. This can be really important. I have used it without the foot pedal for various reasons. Nothing that's ever been super important, but every now and again. It also has a speed control. So this machine also has a detector in it to show if there's no thread. So it will run for a little bit, and then it will stop. It detects that there's no thread. You get a cute little message. Oh, the message is already gone. So I know I'm already making this sound complicated. These are some perks and benefits of this machine. I would recommend this machine. Actually, you know what? I would recommend this machine for a beginner. One of the very first projects that Lisa ever did was on this machine. And my wife does not sew. She doesn't really have a lot of it. She has interest in knowing enough to help. This is just my thread. It's not on the needle. She has enough interest to want to be able to help me as needed, but not in any big major way, which is fair. She's very busy herself, right? So another feature that this machine happens to have is a thread cutter. I'm going to show you guys some stuff. We're not going to agonize too much. You're going to ignore the mess in my kitchen. Now I'm trying to get a good angle on the camera here because it can be really hard to see. So I already have in this machine, there's already a bobbin in it. So threading the machine is simple. You make sure that the lever is up. That brings us up. Bringing the foot up also relieves all the tension through here. The way a machine runs, and I'm just going to do this quickly. I'm going to show you a little bit better on one of the other machines. These machines have really good, oops, I just did it wrong. Okay, number one, before you thread your machine, make sure that your needle is up. This has a lovely feature that lets you put the needle up and down. That is incredibly helpful because you need to make sure the needle, you need to make sure inside here, which you'll see on the other machine, is an arm that has to be all the way to the top. The best way to make sure it's all the way to the top is to make sure that the needle is all the way to the top. So threading the machine, let's just bring you guys in. Don't get seasick. Don't get seasick. See that little 5 right there? See that little 4 right there? The rest of it's harder to see because it's this clear plastic. But there's literally a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. It literally, newer machines literally show you. So take your thread, hold it at that end, because nothing inside are clamps and discs and things that come into place to hold your thread, give it the proper tension so it'll sew. But right now those are all open and have no tension. Okay, so now my thread's around. It's not as hard as it seems. The first couple of times might seem strange, especially, and like I said, this video is mostly for people who don't sew, to see how it's done. So now, coming in here, and again, sorry for the seasickness, guys, there is a little tiny clip right there. So, let's see if I can get in closer. Oh, there, I got a little closer. Okay, guys, I'm not even going to edit this because I want you guys to be able to see it. You just get your thread into that little clip. Now, needle threaders. A lot of machines come with a needle threader. Enjoy them while you have them. For the most part, okay, for the needle threader to work, drop the feet, because you have to have okay, once you get to this part, then you drop your feet. That tensions everything into place. So the needle threader, you will find better descriptions and better whatever, but the needle threader comes down and it pushes a small hook, very, very tiny, through the needle so that when you line up your thread and put it in place, it pulls it through and your needle is threaded. These things are awesome. They save a lot of time. They're convenient. They're easy to use. They also historically don't last long. You can fix them. You can find ways to fix them. You can find ways to repair them. But if you're do not buy any machine strictly because it has a needle threader. They are lovely while they last, but they don't always last. I've got 5 machines right now, and I've got one. My best machine has the worst needle threader. Okay, so let's see if I can get in here a little closer. Let's see what I can do here. Bear with me while I adjust a few things. Let's see. I think you might be able to see it, guys. Carefully, carefully. Okay. You're on almost every machine that I've got, and I cannot think of a machine that's different. The thread comes off, holding it in your right hand, the thread comes off towards your left hand. Drop it in, and then I got to do it with the right hands because my hand is in the way. Okay, I'm going to do this reverse, guys. There is a small little slot right there, and I don't think you guys can see it. You just bring your thread around, line it up into the slot, and on this machine, you just leave it like that. You're done. Then you lift this back up again. It sounds like a lot of steps. Honestly, it just takes a few seconds. I'm just explaining as I go. I like to use a pair of scissors that have got, are you going to do it? Is it going to, there we go. Okay, I like to use a pair of scissors that come down to a flat tip, but not a sharp point, because you can use them for a lot of things. So you hold this out to here. This machine is how it goes. Now, I can get under here. Okay, so you just bring it down, bring it all the way back up. And I'm not sure if you saw that, but it creates your first loop. You tug this. This, I shouldn't have used black. I should not have used black. And then you pull it through. And now both of your threads are up to here. You're done. And to check and see if you're done, if you're not sure and you're just starting out, then one of the best friends you can have is a piece of scrap, which I happen to have. Take a piece of scrap, put it there, put it down. Cut it and see what's going on. So for this machine, picking your fancy stitches is not difficult. I'm not going to show you how to pick the fancy stitches because each machine is a little bit different. But to do your fancy stitches, your machine, this pops around all over. Whoops, it's not in the shot. Let's get it back here, guys. I got started. There we go. Okay, watch this. This was your thread, but it's also, everything's attached to something else in there. So this clicks around. Your machine's not broken. It's doing what it's supposed to do. You also have, this machine has a speed, again, that's top speed. I can use the pedal though to go slow. So that's the basics of sewing. This has a backup. Oh, back off the camera again. Let's get this set up again. Whoop. Okay. Every machine has a reverse function. This machine happens to have it automatic. Now, this machine will not reverse when it's on fancy stitches. When you get a machine, read the manual for your machine. Every machine is a little tiny bit different, and that's okay. This is the Singer Quantum Stylist 9960. I think there's another Quantum Stylist with a different number at the end, and it runs a little bit differently than this one. This one will just, come on, as long as I hold it down, it will continue to backstitch. That does not work if the foot pedal is plugged in. Single stitch. I call it the turtle because it's got a little turtle on it. Sometimes you want to bring your needle up. Sometimes your needle's up and you want to bring it down. So that can be a really important feature. This happens to have a thread cutter in it. So you do that and you're done. What this also has, let's get another line on here. I'm not worrying about the sewing itself. What this also happens to have is, let's say for some reason your thread cutter is not working. Let's say that for some reason, sometimes you're doing a project and you need a long piece of thread at the end. Sometimes there's a reason for it. Depends on your project. So you want to bring this up, lift that so you can get your string out. Your threads are all still connected, and there's a little guy right back here. Bring it back, pop it through, cut your thread. That's sewing. If you are walking through with your machine and have managed to do that and that, even if you don't have a fancy stitch and can't do that, you are now sewing. It's that simple. Yeah, so that is the basic walkthrough. I mean, that is bare bones basic. I may, as I go through doing other videos, I may try to remember. I probably will remember. Try to remember to give details on what each machine is and isn't capable of as we go along. This machine goes at about 850 stitches a minute, I believe, which is plenty fast. It has a slider here. If 850 stitches a minute is too fast and you're not sure what you're doing, you can slow down the speed. That is now maximum speed because I've put this to minimum. Which if you are, let's unplug my feet for a minute. Which if you have the kind of issue that you don't want to use the foot, stop, start, back up. Maybe your thread cutter's broken, because that's happened to me. And there you go. So, yeah, I think mostly we're just hanging out and visiting each other at this point. This is only my, fourth video. I'm sure that I'm sure I will revisit this and revisit these machines later as I get better at making these videos and as I get better at figuring out what you guys do and don't need to know, which means Don't forget to give me feedback. If there's a particular feature, if it's like I was thinking about, if it's like I'm thinking of buying a quantum stylus, can you show me how it does blah? It's like I'm happy to explain it in the comments, or if I get a chance, make a quick video. I'm just getting started. I need ideas of myself. So yeah, let's think about that. Let's think about that. That sounded weird. It's okay. We're just all friends hanging out. Okay, that is this machine. I'm putting this machine away for the day, and I am going to get out the next machine, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some useful information on that one too. This is the Brother HC3110. It's not even remotely in focus yet. There we go. Okay. The HC also has fancy stitches. It has one alphabet. So everything is numbered. And to pick a fancy stitch, this is a really easy to use machine. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a snob about the machine. There's a couple things I don't like, a couple things I do. But I'm going to be super honest that I had the big machine first. I had to take it into the shop, and I needed a backup machine to keep me busy. And unfortunately, it's like going from a luxury car back to a 10-year-old beater for me sometimes. Okay, it's not that bad. This is actually a really good machine. This is actually a really good machine. I did like it. I liked using it. I liked my big fancy machine better. So the first thing on this machine, let's see what we can do for, I'm not very well set up here, so let's see what we can do for showing you. This machine's a little weird. Not weird, but there's the bobbin. This is where the thread goes. This just slides right off. That just slides off. That's to hold the thread in place. When you're putting thread on the machine, this particular spool is a good one to show you, if it'll let you focus. There we go. This particular spool it's a regular spool. It's a standard spool of thread, or so you think. No, it's not. It's nothing that magical or special. One end of the spool, you just put your thread in. One end of the spool, let me just get this here. You put your thread in there, and it holds your thread in place. And the other end is smooth. So this end, I don't know if you can see, it's got a little groove and some teeth right there. So when you're putting your thread on, you want to put the teeth to the back. Yeah, it's way over there in the corner. Sorry, guys. Put the teeth to the back. This guy needs to be the same size or bigger than whatever spool you're using. And this machine is this machine is inexpensive. It's pretty budget friendly. It is going to still run you about $250. That's Canadian. I'm in Canada, by the way, if anybody doesn't know. So this is for making the bobbins. This little guy here. This is for making the bobbins. This little guy here. Back here, just out of sight. Let me get you up here just a little bit higher. Let me bring you in here. That right there, just out of sight. I need two hands for this. I'm going to show you. My thread is going to come through here. Then it's going to come back here. Then just inside there, I don't even know if you can see it. Just inside there, you can see the arm, and I can see that the needle is all the way up. So just inside there is where the needle is where it's going to go through. So let me see. This is the part you can't see, that little metal hook that was at the beginning. It goes there. Again, you're going to make sure that your foot that is just off the screen. It's just off the screen. There it is. There it is. It's barely there. You can see junk behind me, but that's going to be turning that there. That's your presser foot. Presser foot needs to be up so that everything's open so that the thread can go where it needs to go. You need to hold your thread from here because there's no tension. Go. Down. Up. All the way to the back. Forward again, down again. It's the exact same motion as the other machine. It's just this looks different, but it functions exactly the same. There's no difference. Needles all the way up. No problem there. Okay. Put that behind the little bar there. This is a weird one. This machine is weird. It starts at 0, 0. Which you can just barely see there. It starts at, I don't think you can see it at all. That says 0, 0. It starts at 0, 0, but to have an actual straight lined up stitch, it needs to be at 0, 1. So every time you turn this machine on, to get a straight, to have a straight stitch with your needle in the center, you have to put it to 0, 1. I didn't like that about this machine. I wasn't very happy with that. And we're going to go back down a tiny bit. And again, be gentle with me. This is like only my 4th video, so I'm sure that as I get an opportunity to do better videos, I'm probably going to repeat. I mean, I'm probably going to do these first few ones in a little while once I've had more practice with the camera. I'll probably come back and redo some of these videos. I just hope that they're not too horrible in the meantime. But that's okay. You know what? I mean, you guys are going to learn how to be horrible before you learn how to be good. I'm learning how to be a horrible camera person before I learn to be good. This works the exact same way. That comes down. This comes down. A little pin from the back is going to come through the needle. Whoops. This one, I believe you have to start that. Yeah, you start this one. You start this one already under that hook. Bring it. Nope, what happened? What happens to this one? Ah, okay. This one's weird. You bring it down. Bring it down a little bit so that you can get both hands working in there. Yeah, this isn't going to happen, guys. I'm just going to thread this. This is not as awkward as I'm making it sound. The reason why this is coming off awkward is because I'm trying to get this on camera and it's not working. So the needle threader works really well on this machine as well. Bobbin. The bobbin here is a little bit different. It's actually a little bit nicer than the other machine because you take this off. There's just a little push. You just push that and it pops these covers. You just push this right here, right there. These covers just pop right off. Same thing. Hold it in your right hand and it goes over the top to your left hand. That means you're holding it right. Slide it in. This machine, I'm going to try and get a little closer. So your thread goes like this. Look, I don't know if you can see it here. There's actually a little, it's white on white. It's very difficult to see, but it's the same as on the other machine. There's little images all over the place that shows you how to do this. So this is one thing I did like about this machine. So I've already got the thread on. This goes like that. Your thread comes off the top towards the left. This just pops right in. Put your finger on there if you have to. Nothing horrible is going to happen. And this piece here, just get it under there, up there, around there. I still don't think I chose a very good thread, and it's done. You're completely done, and you can close. You can close this carefully, and that's done. So that's it. So now the thread is on, the bobbin is on. I'm going to show you how to wind a bobbin on the next machine, because it really isn't all that different. The function itself is the same. Ah, yes, here's another little graphic. Oops, over to the side. Let's go over here, guys. This little graphic shows you exactly how, the right way, the wrong way, and how to put on your bobbin. Until you get used to your machine, don't peel off these stickers. Keep track. Well, this is a sticker, but this is right on the machine. It's stamped in. So that's it. The machine is threaded. Okay, so now the machine's over here and we're ready to go. So I don't need to look at the top right now because we're not really using it. So this is, of course, the first thing I do is go straight to the top. So this is the tension disc on this one. The other one does have a tension, but it's electronic. The other one had electronic tension, which you just open up the menu for that and then adjust it. It has no manual adjustment. This is the manual adjustment for tension. If you want your presser foot to be, if you want things to be tighter, the thread to be tighter or not so tight. This has all the same functions. Let's get our piece of scrap out to test. So we're going to go to the next section. By the way, when you're testing, it's like, oh, I want to test things. You're almost always going to be sewing 2 pieces of fabric together. So don't test with a single thickness of fabric. Test by taking a piece of fabric and folding it. You'll get a much more accurate idea of what your machine is and isn't doing. So this has the same, this has the presser foot. Now I will say, the presser foot. This has the foot pedal. Now the foot pedal on this machine, and again, this is the Brother HC3110. This is just the one I got. I honestly bought this one because I knew that I was waiting for my other one to come out of the shop. 10 weeks wait, 2.5 months wait if you need to get a machine serviced right now, at least in my area. So I went ahead and got this because I also sew for a living. I needed a machine. So this has lots of features that I like. This was around $250, and this has got a lot of bang for the buck. So it's got speed control. So let's start. Okay, for starters, you can control your speed with the foot pedder. So right here is your foot up, foot down. Okay, so one of the reasons why I recommend a piece of scrap, which I forgot to say, one of the reasons why I recommend a piece of scrap is because every now and again, if you think you've done something wrong, you'll end up with all sorts of nesting, and like if you flip this over and this is just all loopy loops of thread all over the place, it means you've probably just threaded it wrong or something. Even if you thread it right, sometimes things can slip. So this machine has no thread cutter. So you take it off, you cut it. There's a little, there's always, machines almost always have a little thing at the back with a little razor on it. It's covered, it's safe. But yeah, you just check the front, check the back, make sure nothing's really weird. And as long as you're happy with it, then you're good to go. And for the first little while when you're practicing, you should probably do it. You should probably do a test stitch. So this one you can control your speed with the foot pedal. I will say that this motor isn't quite as strong. You could also, that's top speed. That's top speed using the slider. This machine also, shockingly, where is it? Let me get in here. You can use this machine, so the bottom button doesn't light up, but the bottom button, you can use the machine without the foot pedal. For a $250 machine, that is an amazing perk. Like if your foot pedal breaks, you can still sew. If you have a mobility issue, or if somebody with a mobility issue is borrowing your machine, you can still sew. Just find the hole and get this plugged back in. You can control your speed. Some functions, especially if you're like nervous, if you're nervous and you don't want to go as fast, then you're going to want to go a lot slower. This machine also comes, now the feet, we're not really going to get into the feet. Usually for most sewers, me included, once you find a foot that you like, you tend to use it for 90% of your sewing, and you only use the other feet as needed. This machine also has the stitch up, stitch down. It also has, again, every machine can back up. The manual, this over here is what you use to change your stitch using the chart. This is kind of interesting. This button over here, it's got 3 symbols. So this symbol here is that symbol. So if I want to do, there's, which one? I like number 60. So, 60. So sometimes you'll find that if you're using fancy stitches, sometimes they stitch out better if you go faster or slower, and that is just a matter of practice. There's far too many stitches to be able to tell you exactly how to make each one work its best. That's what working with a piece of scrap is for. So for this machine, so this symbol, you match the symbol. It's got 3 symbols, 1, 2, 3. So you match the symbols. That symbol is this page. That symbol is this page. This is the alphabet page. So this machine does have an alphabet. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend you consider, like I said, I was a big baby because I have a better machine. But if you're just starting out, this is actually a really good machine, and it's got a lot of versatility. The silly things like the foot pedal is on a longer cord than my other machines, which means that if you have a weird spacing issue and you need to wrap your foot pedal back around something before bringing it forward to where you can reach it, you've got more space to work with that. The cord itself is a decent length, actually a little bit longer than average. The machine has the manual stitching instead of foot pedal. The foot pedal is speed control. You have your backup, you have your needle up, needle down, you have manual control over your speed. You have a decent amount, I forget how many this, 99 plus 29 plus 55 stitches. So that's how many different stitches it has besides just the regular. The only thing I don't like about this machine is that every time you turn it on, it will be at 0, 0. All that happens is when it's at 0, 0, 1 is a straight, 0, 0 is a straight stitch, but it has the needle off to the one side. So I like my needle to stay centered. This is a really good machine. I guess I'm reviewing machines. The Quantum Stylist is actually, the first one I showed you is actually my favorite machines of all the machines that I've got. It's the most versatile. It's the most versatile in every way that counts, but it also is a pricier machine. So if you're starting out with price, as an object, then you are probably going to want to start with one around the 250 to 300 range. This machine, though, I will say it does not, the motor is not as powerful. So the power of the motor kind of determines how many layers of fabric it can go through. And there's a couple of projects that I do on an ongoing basis because I do this for a living. I say this like 5 times in a row. Anyway, some of the stuff that I do, I wasn't able to do on this machine because once I got to enough thicknesses of fabric, it was just struggling to get through the fabric, and it was just really, and that's not good. But if you're doing basic projects, basic mending, and don't have a lot of, and aren't going through more than, say, 8 layers of fabric at a time. Well, let's see. Okay, so we're gonna see if this guy goes through. Okay, the Quantum Stylist, I didn't show you guys, I've spent way too much, well, okay. The Quantum Stylist is my favorite machine. I'm not gonna lie that it's not my favorite machine. I've got 2 of them so that when Rose is over, we each have access to one of them so that no matter what we're doing, we have we can use those. The others, I do have a better machine, but it's also got its own limitations. So let me see what's going on. Something's wrong with my machine. My machine is detecting that there is no thread. This is one of the problems that I did find with this machine. Every now and again, your machine will detect. This machine has a detector in it, and I'm not quite 100% sure what it detects. So when your machine is being stubborn and doesn't want to play nice, just rethread it. Just rethread it. If something, it's not necessarily that something has slipped or something has gone wrong. This machine does have a detector in it. So I have to double check the manual with what all it detects, but it detects broken thread. It detects empty bobbin and a couple of other things. So it may also, okay, turn it off and back on again. Okay, so after a couple minutes of being stubborn, I think the issue with this machine, 8 layers, like I said, I only use this for a few weeks as a backup machine. 8 layers on this machine is too thick because the machine is detecting, I think, that the foot isn't all the way down. So this, I'm still going to say this is a good beginner machine, but this is not going to be the beginner machine for quilting or other heavy projects. This definitely isn't a quilting machine, actually. So I shouldn't even try to discuss quilting. That's the other one's a quilting machine. If your ultimate goal is quilting and other heavy projects, then you don't have much of a choice but to start with a. This is just scrap, so don't worry, I'm not wasting things. This is material that I couldn't use already. So yeah, if your goal is to, if your primary goal is, I want to do quilting, then this is not. Then this machine automatically cancels itself out because it cannot handle that. It can handle some. It can handle some quilting type of stuff, but you're never going to get an entire quilt off of this machine. It just has, it's not powerful enough. But it is just fine for making little bags, for personal mending, for light duty projects. But I did like this machine while I was using it. But I think I may edit the crap out of this as well because there are some things this machine can't really do all that well, and I'm not really. Yeah, so this machine I would definitely recommend. It's a good little machine to get started with. It is not a heavy-duty machine. It does not have the same power in the motor to get through thicker projects. I'm going to leave in the bit where I was struggling because because like I said, 2, 4, 4 folded in half becomes 8. Once I got to 8 layers, it was beeping at me because I'm pretty sure everything else was fine. I'm pretty sure it was trying to detect that the foot wasn't down. So that tells me right there that this machine is not designed for a lot of thickness. If you are struggling with certain projects and you happen to have a machine that struggles with thickness, it's not your fault, it's the machine. And I don't know what you can or can't do about it. If getting a new machine is not something that you're okay with, then nope, I need to not talk about new machines. So yeah, so this is a good machine. This is a good little machine. We got a lot done on it. There were a few projects that we couldn't do because the motor just isn't as strong as in other machines. So if your plan is to be doing quilting or oven mitts, working with canvas and other heavier materials, then this machine isn't for you. But if you are just light mending, light projects, not too thick, then you shouldn't have any problem doing this. I probably edited the crap out of this because I don't want to end up saying it's a good machine. It's a good machine. I don't want to end up crapping all over it, but it's really good for some things. It's really limited for other things. It is a good beginner machine though, because it's inexpensive, has a lot of features that you just don't find on inexpensive machines. But I have a better machine that's even cheaper, so I'm going to put this away and we're going to get the next one out. Okay. So this guy that I just pulled out, this guy currently lives his life as my backup machine. This is the very first machine that I started my Etsy shop with. This machine is called the Singer Simple. I'm not sure if it's still out there in the world as a Singer Simple, but I'm just going to get right to it. Basically, this is a Singer. This is one of Singer's heavy-duty machines. Now, what the brother couldn't do for thickness, this machine, where'd my scrap go? Just plows through everything. I made my very first quilt on this machine, and my God, it was a project. It was a king-size quilt. Some of you may have seen it in my wife's videos. I just found a piece of thread that shouldn't be there. Oh, I found all sorts of stuff. This is awesome. Okay. Every machine has its own little accessory tray. This one goes like that. Okay, so a couple of features in this machine. No light. That's the first thing you'll notice right away. The other machines had a light just inside here. They help. Honestly, though, for the best possible lighting, you're almost always going to need an extra light. So it's not the end of the world. When I use this machine regularly, this machine might actually do a really good job to not. Let's get you up there. I'm used to having the machine closer to me than they are for showing you guys for the camera. So that's the first thing that you're going to notice is no light. That's not the end of the world. You can add your own lighting, and like a nice little desk lamp just pointed is fine. This machine, I'm going to pause the camera, and I'm actually going to go get a light, guys, because it is going to be a lot easier for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, I am back. So I've gotten myself a lovely little desk light, put it in here. It's probably too bright, but we're not going to worry too much about that. We'll get that down there so we got lots of light without blinding you guys. I'm not going to move the camera because if I do, I'm going to have to adjust the lighting like crazy every single time. So the spool goes up here, same as every other machine. The spool goes on the top. Bobbin winder is off here at the end, and my finger's just barely off the corner of your camera. I'm not going to show you that today. We've got the obvious stuff that goes on up here, but we've also got, and this is the cool thing, not cool, but I'm going to get this started. So you make sure the foot is up. The foot lever on this one is all the way to the back. Make sure the foot is up. Bring it down here. Everything is marked. Yeah, that right there shows you, yeah, that actually shows you that one spot I've been trying to show you. This is visible now. This piece is visible. This is what comes up when the needle is up. This is visible now. This is all visible now because everything's got its own diagram. The needle goes in the front. This machine also, luckily, I think needle threaders are common now. Like I said, enjoy them while they last, but it's about $99. It's $99 Canadian where I live to go take a machine in for service, and takes about 10 weeks where you won't have your machine. It is not worth It is never worth trying to get your, when you have your machine in for service, absolutely get them to fix your needle threader, but don't prioritize it. You're going to waste a lot of time, stress. So this goes back here. This thread, this bobbin, same as before. Every bobbin that I've ever encountered, unless there's a strange machine that I've never seen, goes from the top this way. I mean, obviously, if you turn it around, it's going to come out from the bottom. It's got to go from the top facing you, slides in. This has a hook. This has a hook. Can you see it? It's got the same hook that the brother had. So it's just one step, no thinking, and off you go, and it's in. It's actually easier. This bobbin is actually easier than the bobbin in my big schmancy machine. This one is also a Singer. It's a Singer Simple, in case I haven't already said it. So again, everything's in there. So you bring your 2 layers down. You bring your foot back down, and you give it a shot. See where you're at? Did I plug it in? I didn't turn it on. Oh, and I lied. There is a light. There is a light. It's just not a very bright light. I'm sorry. I lied to you guys. I thought this one didn't have a light. I thought this didn't have a light, and so when I didn't see the light, it didn't occur to me that I hadn't plugged it in yet. I mean, that I hadn't turned it on. Okay. What's it doing? Ah, I've got my stitch length over here. The knobs are over here. This is your stitch length, and it says so right on it. And for some reason, my stitch length was set to 0. Good to go. Reverse is a button right there. Hard to see, I know, I can't do anything about that. This does not have a thread cutter. So when you're ready to take the thread off, it does not have a thread cutter. It does not have a individual stitch button. So you will have to turn this, get over here, turn this by hand, turn that by hand. The arrows are right on it. I mean, newer machines nowadays, bring your needle all the way up. Is this sticking up yet? Nope, then it's not all the way up. Now it's all the way up, because that's all the way up. Just pull. Make sure your foot is up. And this has got. You can use scissors, by the way. You're not obligated to use a thing, and that's it. You've got your straight line. So if you can get this far, and do that, and do that, and do that, back up, bring your thing to the top. Like I said, this machine's manual. Whenever you have to use this to move your thing, only ever twist it towards yourself. If you twist it backward, you can create a big knot in your fabric and screw things up. You won't break anything, but you're going to have a mess that you'll have to clean up. If you can do that, if you can get this far, you're already sewing. And that's the machines. That is the basics of the tour of the machines. This machine, if you do not need, okay, for some people, having the ability to run the machine from a push button here instead of the foot matters. People with mobility issues or other problems, or maybe there's a specific type of sewing that they're doing that really works better that way. I don't know. If you really need that button, then this machine is not for you. If you don't need that button, then this machine is a perfect beginner machine. I got this, I'm not sure what its current price is. I think it's around $129 for this type of machine. The cheapest Singer that you can buy that says heavy duty, they're great. I made a how big was that quilt? 90-inch by 90-inch king size quilt on this machine as one of my very first projects, and then went on to run my Etsy shop for almost 2 years with just this machine. It's got a few fancy stitches over here. It's simple dial. Simple dial, not a lot of thinking involved. You lose a couple of features, and it's a little bit slower, but you gain a much stronger motor. So, okay, the other machines seem to not like 8 layers. How does this one feel about 8 layers? There it is. Oh, let's get that. Not quite. This machine's a little weird because even when this is all the way to the top, the needle still has a little tiny bit of way to go. And every machine has its quirk. You will get used to them. Yeah, this one doesn't mind. This one doesn't mind at all. And bring it to the top. So just don't forget, if your needle's up here, if your needle has to come down and back up again, but yeah, this just plunked all the way through those with no problems. I don't know if you guys could, I could hear the difference between the brother. I didn't try the other one on 8 layers, because okay, my Singer Quantum Stylist can go through 12 to 16 layers, no problem. Because I do it on that machine every day. But yeah, I could hear a difference between the brother and the Singer here, the two little guys. So in the battle of the little guys, if you don't need the thread, if you don't need the needle threader, if you don't need the button start, if you don't, you still have speed control. You still have speed control on the pedal. Oh, I don't even have it on a straight stitch right now. So you can still control it, no issues there. But yeah, if you don't feel like you need those features, or if you feel like you can, I can live without these until I get my shit together and I'm ready for a better machine, this is probably the one I would recommend.